The other Universal Studios Hollywood story is a fascinating one. We just got done talking about LA Comic-Con and how that just took place right here, but there was something else that was on the agenda right there. You can see Universal FanFest Nights. And Nolan, I know you're a big fan of Universal FanFest Nights. I am too. One of the big reasons why is because of that amazing Back to the Future experience that was on the lower lot there, actually taking place in the real Courthouse Square, where Back to the Future was actually filmed back in the early 1980s, leading up to its release in 1985. Very cool stuff, awesome stuff, and apparently they actually had a panel that went into some of this. Back to the Future Return to Hill Valley got a round of applause in the room. Sirks says FanFest Nights took about 3 years to develop, which is pretty significant, actually. Some of the ideas there, yeah. So here you go. This is the most controversial part of this. They're actually not bringing Back to the Future for 2026. They're going in a completely different direction, specifically with the Universal Monsters and Scooby-Doo. Now you're thinking, well, that's an odd take on it. Not precisely, because you know as well as I do, Lou, that in the Backlot along the tram tour, you have a little place called the Court of Miracles. And the Court of Miracles is where they filmed all those classic...
Well, let's be real technical. This is not the original. It burned down.
Yes, that's true. The original did burn down. But this is the plot of land with some facades that have been changed, in which they filmed many of those Universal Monsters films.
Not the original building. That's all I'm saying.
Of course.
They basically wanted to create a Balkan, Middle European village that all of these classic monster stories could take place in, and that's what they built. And then just by redressing it a little every time, you could have Dracula or Frankenstein or anybody else. So.
Right. And look, I mean, when I see these sets right here, when I think about it, at least the monsters actually taking up residence in this specific place, I think, oh, that's actually a pretty good idea. That's kind of something I actually want to see. To mix it in with Scooby-Doo, you know, it's a choice.
Are they mixing them together, or are they just going to have a Scooby-Doo area and a monster area?
I think they're going to mix them together, and the reason why is to specifically state that this is a little bit more family friendly than maybe something you would actually experience with Halloween Horror Nights. I think they do want to have a break there.
You know what they got to do? They got to have Scooby or one of the others go up to the Frankenstein monster and pull the mask off, and underneath it's the real Frankenstein monster.
I think that's literally what they're going to do with this FanFest experience here in 2026, and I think it's actually very interesting. There's been a lot of fervor for the monsters to be featured because of actually Dark Universe and bring those monsters to the forefront the way they did. So I'm actually excited to see them in a place that is, well, very fitting for them to be featured in. I guess my only concern, though, is that, well, we're not going to get Back to the Future. And I think for many, that's a big disappointment, because that was one of the mainstays of FanFest Nights 2025. My question to you all is Scooby-Doo plus monsters, is that something that entices in the same way that Back to the Future did?
They didn't do anything for FanFest at 6 Points, right?
No, not yet.
So why couldn't you do Back to the Future 3, the Western part, there?
That's a really great idea, actually. Okay, we need to write this down. Hey, Universal, creative, get on this. This is actually a really good idea. I do wonder if they're limiting the Backlot experiences to just one experience a year and on rotation. It could be that. And to that, I'd say that would be really, really cool. Nolan, your thoughts, please.
Oh, absolutely. So I saw this news here very recently. When I saw Scooby-Doo, I was so astronomically happy. I'm pretty sure the soul went out of my body and then came back in, because I am a Scooby-Doo diehard over here. I love that kind of ordeal. So I am very happy they're going to lean into it, because it's a franchise that appeals to a lot of different people and a lot of different backgrounds and stuff. I am coming off of, we were just mentioning Halloween Horror Nights, and Scooby-Doo definitely has a better family appeal to it, because as amazing as Halloween Horror Nights is, and I would never want this to change, it is a reason they say it's 13 and up. There's a lot of gore, there's a lot of sexual themes and stuff. Actually, the show I saw, which was called Nightmare Fuel, Circus of the Decay, it was over the top on how wild it is, but it is not a kids thing. And I think it's the highlight of any stage show in Florida. But the reality is that's not something that you should really be dragging your kids to. FanFest with Scooby-Doo gets an opportunity to where, you're going to have a very healthy variety of opportunity there, and mixing in, of course, the Universal monsters. Everybody, no matter how old you are, Frankenstein, Dracula. It's going to have a lot of, you can have this one for the older people over here on the East Coast, this appeal over here on the West Coast. And as for the concern of not featuring Back to the Future, I am a bit relieved by this, and this is why I feel this way. It's because you look at Oogie Boogie Bash over at Disney and Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween. A friend of mine, Marvin Montanaro, he's brought up before about how he's been there time and time again, and the show, it just doesn't change. It's the same dang show every year. I love that with FanFest, they're doing what I was hoping they were going to do, was they're going to change up the appeal every year. It rotates in and out. You have different brands featured at every time you go to Halloween Horror Nights, for example. There were some people walking around actually just the other day, and I saw Stranger Things or Last of Us, and those are things that are no longer featured in the park. It's evergreen. They've been doing this for a very long time. I believe 34 years or so. So you have a lot of different opportunities to always be excited for something new. My concern with that is, though, there are people who did not get to experience Back to the Future, and I'm very, very lucky I got to even be one of them in the first place. I do think they did this for way too short of a time. However, I am one who believes in, let's see if we can find some opportunity out of this problem. And why not use the excuse to bring some sort of Back to the Future temporary type FanFest event over to the East Coast? Maybe it's about time they integrate some sort of event like that. Because, I don't think you should really have to pick your state on how intense or family friendly it is. You should be able to easily go into an adult oriented Halloween attraction thing and not have to worry about children, and be able to calmly focus on your adult fun. If you have kids, you should have the easy option to go to the family friendly thing. It should be, I feel like every park should have variety in different times to bring different kinds of people, different backgrounds, different franchises. And I think that it just comes at the end of the day is things need to be like a smorgasbord. You need variety, and I think changing this up is a good move. Just make sure you're giving people in various states the opportunity to do that. Because like I said, I think the Halloween stuff in Florida was amazing. I wish Nebraska or Oklahoma had an opportunity of it, because that stuff is just that dang
Vegas,
good.
Vegas does now.
Exactly. It's expanding. It's getting bigger. And I think something as magical as FanFest was, to where it almost literally feels like you're walking into a video game with how alive, vibrant it is. It's one of the few times I felt like in the modern age where it doesn't feel like you're just glued to a smartphone the whole time, or it feels very forced. Everything feels very natural. And if Universal can pull off the same thing with Scooby-Doo, then I think this could perhaps get even bigger than, say, the Back to the Future franchise's impact was. It's just going to have to say is, hey, that was a quote-unquote easy mode in comparison of where they could take this thing, because, they had the actual set there to make it feel more authentic, the actual location. Scooby-Doo, Universal Monsters, they're going to be a little bit more limited. So let's see what kind of creative things they can do to change this up year after year. I just hope this isn't the final opportunity for those who missed out on Back to the Future to have a time to even do this. They shouldn't have to wait 40 years for it,
No, they'll bring it back in a year or two.
I think so.
Raph wanted to go so bad, and we just couldn't. And man, that sucks. I'm disappointed.
I got to be honest. I'm a little disappointed as well. But Nolan, I think there's something to be said about refreshing experiences. MJ, I want to go ahead and go to you real fast on this. When I think about Oogie Boogie Bash or Mickey's Not So Scary, as Nolan actually pointed out right there, I was having this conversation with Barry Place 28 and Theme Park Wizard last night actually about how those experiences, at least Oogie Boogie Bash, had gotten stale, even though the price has increased dramatically on this. My question to you is, do you invite a change in how things are done to the extent that Universal is doing, where they have a fan favorite thing and they're kind of letting it, hey, let's go ahead and do something else in its place? Do you invite this?
I have a little bit of a mixed feeling. I think it's terrible that they are not giving people the opportunity to do the Back to the Future experience, because you're practically immersed. You feel like you're in the movie with the characters. It's such a loved film, but as Nolan was talking, my mind completely got changed. I was like, you know what? He made such a valid point. Disneyland keeps doing the same thing with Oogie Boogie, and it's like the same characters. It's the same routine. It's the same cue. You already know what's going to happen. You can predict, who's handing out candy in the next, little area where you go trick-or-treating. And
right.
the Disney, so Universal's learning from Disney. They're like, we're not going to do that. Let's switch it up. Everyone loves Scooby-Doo. That's another classic. Like, we have, I don't know how you guys in California, but over here on the East Coast, if you go to Universal Studios like today or tomorrow, you will find Scooby and the gang, and they're all hanging out and they're all like talking, and you can take pictures with them. I just feel like, because I'm able to probably do that so much, I want to see something else. I mean, I know you get to see Doc here with, on the East Coast with his car and all that, but this is like really cool. And I don't know how they're going to top that with Scooby and the Monsters thing. I'm just trying to picture it. They're going to have to take one of the, Scooby's episodes where they like Ghost was saying, where they unveil, they take the mask off, and it's like, so what episode are we going to be involved in? Like, what are we seeing? I don't know how they're going to do it, but it is cool. Things,
What I don't know, and maybe you all know better than me, is Scooby still airing anywhere? The actual shows?
Oh, yeah, they actually have been producing. I don't know if there's currently a show running, but routinely Warner Brothers keeps putting out animated Scooby-Doo movies almost yearly, if not yearly. So it's still staying pretty relevant.
Don't they have a block as well in the early morning hours for Cartoon Network? I mean, back when I was a kid, they did. Hopefully that would maintain its relevancy in some way. Look, I got to agree with Nolan on this. And Erika, I wish Raph could have seen this. I don't think it's gone forever, because, they did produce so many assets. That's the other thing, too. It's easier to just redo what you did last year, right? You've already produced everything for it. You can maybe add to it the next year and store the stuff, bring it out, that kind of thing. I do find it a little bit more ambitious to bring on completely new experiences every single year, or at least have a rotation of those new experiences every single year. I do find that fascinating. Man, I need Back to the Future 3, by the way. 6 Points, Texas. I need this.
That's my favorite movie out of the third one is my favorite. The Western would have been great to bring to Raph is the end of the second movie.
But if you want a fix of the Western experience, I do have to highly recommend at City Walk right now, Universal. They do have a Back to the Future themed escape room. And in that escape room, there is a spot where you enter into what is supposed to be the train from the movie. And you get to mess with the gadgets to get out of the room. So there is some sort of Back to the Future 3 experience in Universal. God. It's just not themed to the whole land, But it is, I gotta say, no one ever talks about the escape rooms present at Universal Studios. Best escape room I've ever been in my life. I cannot recommend it enough.
I've never done one, but I've tried an attempt at it for our youth ministry. I don't think it was went well, because I had never been to one.
I'm lucky every morning if I can escape my room. So,
oh man, that's pretty good right there.
From a business standpoint, I mean, they want to stay ahead of Disney. They want to stay ahead of the curve, and they've already set a precedence, like Nolan pointed out, with the Halloween Horror Nights. And another thing that we had observed last time we spoke about this was how they could be putting out feelers on, they have room to expand and grow. Universal is not holding back on expanding on, at least on the East Coast, and who knows what else is coming way down the pipeline on maybe another theme park somewhere else in another 10 years. I mean, who knows what data they're collecting and doing this, and what's really going on behind scenes, so I could see it from the the C-suite level of this, kind of being a good thing. But it really is incredibly disappointing for our family, because I was hoping it would make a return because it was so popular, and maybe they would rotate some of the other ones out. I don't know. But I get it. I understand that
it'll come back.
Yeah, I think you're right. Maybe a couple of years, they might bring it back, especially if it's in demand. And Universal is really good about listening to their customers. Maybe they'll bring it to the East Coast. I mean, it may not be the same because they have the actual, on
Courtyard
location
Square.
set where they filmed in California, which would have been nice to experience that. But I'm okay with going to, an alternative to that. We just wanted to go just to feel the immersion and to watch the cast in front of you just live, like you're there. I've never experienced anything like that, and it would have been fun to experience that.
Just another little tiny side note. They had a leg up doing this there because I have attended, I don't know, 2, 3 cast member employee Christmas parties at Universal that were held in Courthouse Square. That was the venue of choice for doing any kind of an outdoor employee party of any kind. So
Yeah.
In other words, all the lights on the buildings and everything, they that was baked into the cake.
Right. Which is
when you saw the
clever.
you saw the Star Trek stuff too, right, guys?
Yes.
Everybody feel like they had to act with their arms so frenetically, but I don't know. It's just like, but see, I'm watching this.
Uh-huh.
And the line that comes to mind from the movie where he says, well, you might find this a little strange, but your kids are going to love it.
Mhm.
Well, that's Scooby, right? That's the monsters. So
maybe they're doing, because they said it took 3 years to prepare for this one, right, Vash? It took 3 years.
They said the whole idea took 3 years. That's when they said, hey, what if we did?
Wouldn't it be so cool if, like, next year, I don't think it's a family-friendly film, but what if they did, like, the whole Blues Brothers immersion with Jake and Elmwood, and you feel like you're in the film?
Oh, that's interesting.
Movie is, like, so much fun. I mean, we watched it over the weekend, and I forgot how it takes you on an adventure. Like, movies are not made that way anymore. So, you know how many people would totally go if it was the Blues Brothers? You could take pictures with them. They do a performance. You're at their concert. We need money for the orphanage. Like, it would be so cool if that's what was coming next year. We don't know what's coming next year, right?
MJ, first of all, I should point out that the genre guys did the Blues Brothers a few weeks ago, so you could catch our analysis of that. But secondly, they've been doing the Blues Brothers at Universal Studios Hollywood like forever. Having Jake and Elwood doing shows up there in the middle of the upper lot stuff by the Mills Diner. So it's not like it's a whole new thing to do that there. People have been used to that for a while. So I don't mean it's bad.
If I could chime in a little bit too here.
Yeah.
Like MJ, I think to your point too, I don't think the fact that it's not the most family-friendly film is really an issue either, because they've been proven with the Halloween stuff that once it hits nighttime, like when the Shrek lights shut off, they're going to embrace that. I think they know that they're not Disney and they can be the alternate option. So yeah, I think Blue Brothers would actually be really fun.
That would be so much
a little
fun.
bit of an edge.
Yeah, but you're right.
By the way, all this about, well, they have to outdo. No, they're not competing with Disney. They're competing with themselves, and that's why they're winning.
All the classics.
It's true.
Well, point.
Yep.
Man, I just I love all this, and I love the potential for more franchises to be explored in this way, for more franchises to be dropped into Universal Studios Hollywood among many of the sets that these things were actually filmed in and so forth. I think it's just phenomenal. It's a great use of resources, and I think FanFest Nights is going to be a classic experience. Maybe not to the level of Halloween Horror Nights, but man, I think it's right up there for sure. Also, too, I want to say that I think they're going to put a particular emphasis on anime in the upcoming FanFest Nights, and I do hear, that One Piece experience that you see with the Waterworld Theater over there in Japan. Mm-hmm. That might be making its way out west as well. So, very, very cool stuff indeed.
Thanks for watching That Park Plays News. For more information, consider checking out www.thatparkplace.com. And don't forget to subscribe, share, like, and send this out on your favorite social media accounts.